Welcome to The Full Story. My name is Jake Iriani, and today I had the opportunity to sit down with Danyelle Wolf. She's a San Diego resident, a world champion boxer, and an Olympic hopeful. Danyelle and I talked about the pressures of trying to make the Olympics, the idea of being a woman of power in a predominantly male sport, and how she nearly missed out on her Olympic dream. This is The Full Story. How are you feeling about the upcoming qualifiers here in December? I mean, you were telling me off camera that they're taking the top ones, so the pressure is on. And how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally ready. I mean, I have a great camp. I train with Carl here at Steel MMA. I train with Bashir down at Arena Gym. And man, I mean, I have the best camp. We're flying in girls, for sparring. We flew in a girl from Canada, working with her. I have a great camp, great sparring camp, great girls that I'm working with. But yeah, it's great. It's just, I work hard. I train all day. I mean, that is my life. And, every day just learning how to train more, how to train harder, how to balance everything, to be ready, have nothing in question, no excuses, just fully confident and ready to go in December.
And you have quite an incredible story. In 2016, I believe, you were all trained and ready for the Olympics, and they didn't add your weight class.
Yes.
How devastating was that at first? And then when you heard the news for 2020 that they did add it, how was the swing of emotion, kind of the gamut of emotions you were put through?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was the 3-time USA national champion on Team USA. We traveled the world for 3 years, competing around the world. I was reigning champ in Continentals, Golden Gloves national champ, 3-time national champ. So I was, our reigning champ for USA. They rumored to add my weight class for 2016 games, and it didn't get the vote. There's not enough room in the games. So after 2016, games, they said that for sure they're adding, at least 2 more girl weight classes into 2020. And I said at the time, 4 years away, I was like, I'm not waiting, for 2020. So I crossed over to MMA. So, I trained all around the world at the top MMA gyms, in Thailand, New Zealand, at City Kickboxing, Thailand, at Tiger Muay Thai. I moved up to Orange County for a bit, was training at King's MMA and Black House MMA, and moved back down to San Diego, training at Alliance MMA. I mean, I've trained everywhere. I got the best training for MMA, and I was just about to do my MMA debut. I dislocated my arm, wrestling a guy, and I had to get surgery, and by the time that surgery, healed up, I contacted my old boxing coach and said, hey, we're ready to do this MMA debut. I want you part of my team. And he said, man, Olympic trials are right around the corner. You need to come back. Like, they have your weight class. And I said, no, I'm MMA now. Like, I worked hard for this MMA camp, and, the past 3 years, I'm going to follow through with this. And he said, man, he's like, I said, when are Olympic trials? And he's like, 4 weeks away. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I have to come back. So I was like, all right, I sparred maybe like once, before Olympic trial quals, and, back in April. And yeah, we went, and I won all my fights. I had to get the rust off during Olympic trial qualifications. Not usually the place that you want to get the rust off, but definitely got the rust off during that tournament, and got the W's, and came back, and we're just so focused for December, and we're just doing everything we can to prepare. Working with Carl from Steel MMA and Bashir from Arena. We're doing everything in our power to make sure there's no surprises and that we're 100% ready to go. So I'm really excited. I won the first round of Olympic trial quals. There's round 2 and round 3 of Olympic quals left, and they take the top 2 from each qualification, and then they take the top 2 already from Team USA that were already on Team USA the past year. And then all 8 of us will fight in December in Louisiana, Lake Charles, for that one spot. So we'll all be killing each other for that one spot. So.
What would it mean to you when you were a kid? You drew on a piece of paper basically your goal, saying you wanted to make it to the Olympics. What will it mean to you if you do finally get there? I mean, can you even fathom the emotions you'll go through if it does happen?
Yeah, man. I mean, just think about it. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. The main word that I can think of is just perseverance, and just completely believing in yourself and believing in your ability and just going out there with no excuses every day and just working your butt off to make your dreams a reality. And like people here, when I was in first grade, I said I wanted to be an Olympic athlete, while everybody was saying they wanted to be a doctor or a teacher. I always knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I always knew I wanted to be in the Olympic Games. But after college, I didn't really see that as a reality. Going into the Olympic Games after I graduated college. I was a year-round athlete in college, but I didn't see it going any further than college. And then it wasn't until I was 25 that then I started training boxing, that I discovered boxing. I was 25 years old and started training boxing, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is the only sport I haven't done. I'm looking for a challenge. This is the sport. I'm going all the way. And oddly enough, I made Team USA, a year and a half later, and got to travel the world on Team USA. And I mean, it was just completely life-changing. And for my weight class not to be in, and then I go a whole other direction, thinking that I'm never going to get a chance to go to the Olympic Games. My weight class isn't in it. I'm going to MMA, which is a totally different animal and a different field. I just thought, it's just never going to happen. That's okay. New goal is, MMA, in the octagon, which is another awesome, journey as well within itself. So when they added my weight class and I came back and went to trials and won trials, I was like, wow. I'm like, it's still there. The chance is still there, the opportunity is still there, and I'm coming back. And after I won that, I said, okay, like this is my destiny. Like, we're gonna make this happen. So, so just doing everything I can. Like I said, no surprises, making sure I'm ready for everything, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for December.
Final question for me, what does it mean to you, just given where we're at, not to get political by any means, but just given where we're at in our country and everything, to be a woman of power and in your position, other young women looking up to you? I mean, how much does it mean to you in a sport primarily dominated or in the past by men, to be a strong woman in this sport and to be in that position?
Yeah, for sure. I more than anything want to represent our country, number one. I want to be a great role model for not just the sport, not just for, our country, but, for all the women athletes out there, and men. I think it says a lot to show a girl that is, strong and feminine and confident and respectful. And driven. I think that's a really great package to have as a woman these days, is, to not just, sit back and watch the guys do it. We can step up and we can do what the guys can do. But at the same time, you can be a woman doing it. You can be feminine, doing it. And that's the nice balance that I like to have, is that I'm not just, I'm doing a manly sport, as they say, or a tough sport, or a male-dominated sport. But at the same time, I'm feminine and, and I'm classy, and, I can still be a woman, doing a male sport.